Welcome to my channel. Being a landlord can be tough, especially if you've never done it before. In this video, I'll be going over how to be a quality landlord. First, subscribe and hit the like button, as well as the notification bell, so that way you can be alerted when I post a video. So if you're local to the New Hampshire area and you're looking for a real estate deal of any kind, don't forget to shoot me an email at portercap01@gmail.com. All right, I'll be starting from once you've acquired the property, how do you now fill this vacant unit? So first, what you want to do is price it appropriately. And in order to find a good quality tenant, you need to make sure that you have a quality product at a fair price. So when I say a quality product, I mean up-to-date appliances as well as kitchens, bathrooms, holeless walls, clean paint. You don't want dirt and grime or whatever on the walls or on the floors. You want it to be a clean, quality place that is up to date and it doesn't look like a hack job updated it. So once you've done that, then you want to first review the marketplace. Check out the marketplace, look at comparables of your property and see exactly where your property falls. Now, if you did this correctly and your property is up to date and in good shape, it should fall at just above the upper or at the comparables, if not just slightly above. Now, hopefully you paid a good price for this property and you're able to now price this property at comp level or just above. Now, if you're able to price the property at comp level or just above, now what tenants that are on the market looking at everything, they're going to see how these other properties are just below yours, and if they could get a little bit more for a similar amount of money, that's going to increase your tenant pool and your application pool significantly, allowing you as the landlord to have more options to choose from for tenants. Now, a few additional things to consider is when you're looking at comparables, make sure you're looking at properties with similar square footage, bedroom, bathroom, amenities, and things along these lines. Now, this will help you get a good idea as far as what your property should be priced at and what is an actual fair price for the market. Now, if you have additional amenities like a trash service or storage, I'd highly recommend pricing these as additional add-ons for the rental amount. So the rental amount would just be the base number, and then you'd have the trash service as well as the additional storage as an add-on for the tenant, so that way they can decide. Now, what this will do ultimately is it'll allow the tenant to see themselves in the property and then have the decision if they want to spend a little bit more, they have the option to do so. So if they need storage, they know that they can spend a little bit more and get that to that tenant. And vice versa. If they don't want it, they don't have to pay for it. So with that being said, step 2 is to find the tenants. Now that you've priced your property appropriately, you want to now open it up to tenants. So how do you find tenants? Well, I recommend advertising on Zillow, Rental Manager, Trulia, Redfin, Zumper, any local community Facebook pages or community rental housing groups, as well as apartments.com. Now remember, the more eyes, the better. Now, once you have a whole list of people that want to see the place, you'll conduct your showings. And what I recommend is for each showing that you do, you have a little sheet with the person's name on it, and you write down a little blurb of what you think of that person. So how they are as a person, how they interact with you. Do you think you're going to have problems in the future with them? Just to give a good, sensible gauge as far as, like I said, what kind of person they are. And I recommend doing that for each potential tenant that walks through the door. Then once you've conducted those showings and they're completed and you've kind of narrowed it down to what tenants you would be willing to rent to, the next step is applications. Now that you've narrowed down your list of potential tenants, it's time to move on to screening and applications. For this, I utilize the Zillow Rental Manager portal, and I also have the tenants fill out a profile on TransUnion SmartMove. TransUnion SmartMove does a full credit check for you, going over all credit inquiries or anything like that. Now, also with the Zillow application, they pull a full debt schedule for you. So that to go over past accounts that were opened and now are closed for loans, as well as current payments. So if there's any student loans, any car payments, anything like that, it'll cover that. And then from that, I utilize whatever their debt payments are, I deduct it off their income. And now that net number I want to be 2 to 3 times what I'm charging for rent. So, from a budgeting perspective, this allows there to be enough room in their budget for living expenses so they're not rent poor. That's the last thing you want is for your tenant to be spending every last dime they have on your rent and not have additional money for living expenses, obviously. So I also look for over a 700 credit score. So this shows solid credit history and ability to pay back loans that they might have, as well as 2 to 3 professional references. I also prefer a steady work history as well. So preferably one of those references would be from an employer to kind of outline that and go over that. Now, the steady work history is important. It's not a key deciding factor, however, because I do understand that sometimes things happen. You move a new job, whatever it may be, and if you're just happen to be applying for a apartment at that same point in time, I don't think that it would be fair to necessarily write a tenant off for that specifically. So it's something that I consider, but it's not a key defining factor when deciding if I'm going to go with the tenant. Now that you found a tenant that checks all these boxes, I give them a call letting them know I have accepted their application. I'll then forward them a lease agreement created by my lawyer for their review. Upon move-in, I request 2 forms of legal ID, first month's rent, as well as security deposit. First month's rent and security deposit, I request that they be sent via or be provided via certified check. 2 separate checks, one for each. One goes directly into my security deposit account. The other one's deposited for first month's rent. Um, and then with that, I also request proof of renter's insurance as well. All my tenants are required to have their own renter's insurance that covers their personal belongings above and beyond the insurance I have on the property. That way, if something happens, all of their personal items are covered with their own insurance. So, proof of rental insurance is also very important as well. Congratulations, you have a tenant. Now, how do you manage them? Initial qualification paperwork, storage, copies of tenant IDs, formal complaints, direct deposit setup, and signed lease agreement copies are all things that need to be set up and filed away immediately. You want to make sure that these are all put in a safekeeping location. So that way, if you need to reference them in the future for whatever the reason may be, you certainly can, but they're also safe from any tampering or anything like that. Um, Tenant level of effort is one of the big things that I can't stress enough when it comes to managing a tenant. It's extremely important. The tenant should be able to live stress-free with a low level of effort to enjoy their rental experience. Direct deposit is one way to assist in this. It decreases their level of effort, allows them to continue to pay on time, and also allows them to just live their life. They want to live in this unit. They don't want it to be additional work to do so. So this is an extremely important factor. When managing a tenant, it's also very important to set expectations from the start. So from the start, it's important to inform the tenant um, upon move-in how to file complaints, how maintenance orders work, expectations for response time if something was to happen. So if the toilet breaks, there should be an expectation there of when they reach out to you, how quickly you'll be there to rectify the issue and ultimately get it solved. I recommend 24 to 48 hours at the very max, but responding to them almost immediately. This will further show the tenant that you care about the property and you care about their experience. This goes a much farther way than I think most people expect. But if you are there and you care about your tenant and you answer them immediately, you answer their complaint immediately, and then work to get someone there to fix the issue, This goes a long way. It helps the tenant. If something happens in the future, they'll reach out to you so your property won't be further damaged on whatever happened. And it also further builds that relationship and expectations from there. Now, one of my recommendations that I personally utilize for filing complaints, order maintenance order requests, um, from the start is I use Buildium. So this isn't a sponsored ad or anything, but I do use them for all this. It has a full portal for the tenant to simply go in, file a maintenance order request or repair request. If it's urgent, obviously have them give you a call. But if it's something that just needs updating or repairing or maintenance, they're able to go ahead and file a work order request. It loads directly into the specific owner portal for that property so you can reference it at a different time. And it helps keep everything compiled and in a similar location that both tenant and landlord have access to. So I find it extremely useful. I also utilize it for my direct deposit, which is super convenient. So that way you don't have to be in the same vicinity on the first of the month to deposit your checks. They'll just be deposited for you. One of the biggest recommendations I also have is that you inspect your units every 6 months. Now, the reason why I recommend this is because if you notice something on that 6 month mark, then you can rectify it right then and there. And that way you can prevent it from getting any worse. So by doing this, it helps set expectations once again, and also solve any problems and nip anything in the butt on that 6 month mark, as opposed to waiting that full year period. But most importantly, the happier the tenant, the better the experience for both the landlord as well as the tenant. This is extremely important. And if you have a happy tenant, they're not going to be calling you all the time for random issues that don't necessarily matter and bothering you. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Once again, please don't forget to like and subscribe and turn on that notification bell. And then once again, if you're local to the New Hampshire area, don't forget to shoot me an email. We'll be able to go ahead and get you in a new home, a great deal, as soon as possible. So thanks again, and go check out one of my other videos.